If you're like us, there's a number of tasks you do throughout your working day that could definitely be automated. The good news is today there's plenty of software out there that can help you automate a number of these tasks. But what happens when some of these tasks can't be automated with existing software? Well, then you've got to build your own. But how much is that going to cost? In this video, I'm going to discuss how much developing software costs, as well as what you should do when employing an external software development company. I'm going to break it down into 4 points. Number 1, beware of the waterfall approach. 2, remember any estimate is just a guess. 3, start small. And finally, I'll give you a range of costs on some of the projects we've delivered here at Flying Donkey. I'm Matt Grace, Managing Director at Flying Donkey. Let's get into it. Firstly, beware the waterfall approach. Waterfall was a traditional software methodology where you wrote a big, large document specifying everything you needed the software to do. You would then go and estimate and try and deliver it. Unfortunately, this didn't work out very well for software packages. This approach is generally more suited to something like construction, where you go and get architectural drawings, engineering, and specify the entire building before you start. And then when you start the construction, it's a very orderly fashion. The land will be leveled, footings placed, the walls are put up, roof put on, electricians and plumbers come in, and you're finished off in a very one after another situation. This lends itself to a waterfall approach. Software, on the other hand, doesn't quite work this way. A couple of main issues with software and this approach is that because software is evolving so quickly, by the time you finish this documentation process, how that functionality will be delivered could have changed rapidly. At the same time, the best thing for technology is to respond to its users' needs and develop those features for them. And the best way to do that is to get something in the hands of the user and get them to give you feedback. You can then iteratively develop these things into your software. So when approaching a project or approaching a software developer, make sure that you are heavily involved in their project management tools and check what project management approach they take. If they are taking the waterfall approach, just be mindful and just discuss with them why they may not use Agile. At the same time, if you are engaging with a software developer and they are using the Agile methodology, make sure you're involved in scoping sprints and also grooming the backlog. Secondly, estimates are just guesses. This may sound obvious, but estimates are really just a guess. With custom software, it becomes very difficult to estimate exactly how long something's going to take, and you end up having to guess, and I get this all the time. There's a couple of different scenarios here. If we're going to go in and try and add some functionality to some existing software, I'm going to have to try and work out how that software is built and how we're going to add our piece onto the side. That software could be built in a multitude of different ways, and that will really determine how long that's going to take. And we're not really going to know that until we start working on it. At the same time, when we're integrating into one or more systems, there's a lot of dependencies placed on these systems on how they work and how they interpret the data that we send to them. Again, this is very hard to estimate until you start actually doing this with the systems. Really, the key point here is to try and keep projects small so the estimation gap isn't as big as it could be. If you're going to estimate a project that takes 3 years, your plus or minus might be a year or 2. If you're going to estimate a project that takes 2 weeks, your plus or minus might be a day or 2. You can see how this means that the risk of the smaller project is far less. And this takes me to my third point, starting small. As you can see in our previous point, the risk involved in estimating larger projects becomes greater and greater. So the real trick here is to try and start small. When we get approached by clients to do their projects, we have a look at them and we try and pick off something small to deliver for them up front. So for example, if you're trying to do a 0 OAuth 2 upgrade, you may have many apps. So we might pick just one of those apps to start with and estimate up that small project. At the same time, your 0 app may integrate with multiple scopes. So we may try and pick off one of those scopes, for example, invoicing or payroll, and maybe leave journaling or other things to later on. Focusing on this smaller piece up front does a couple of things. Firstly, when a client approaches this, we always offer a small fixed price contract up front to try and show you and deliver for you. Here at Flying Donkey, we always do a small fixed price project up front for a client to show them how our project skills work and to make sure that we can actually deliver for them. And we recommend this approach when you're approaching us or any software vendor. Software is a delivery-focused product, and you want to make sure that the software vendor that you're going with can actually deliver for you. And this is best done within small sprints. The flip side of this is if you go and sign a large contract with a software vendor that potentially could be 1, 2, or 3 years. I've had to come into some of these situations many years down the track with a lot of money spent and trying to fix these pieces of software. This could have been avoided if a smaller project was started at the front, and you could have ironed out any of these issues with the vendor up front. Finally, project costs. Here at Flying Donkey, we do projects from very small to extremely large enterprise systems. And to give you an idea of some of the ranges, an OAuth 2 0 upgrade starts around the $5,000 mark, and that would generally include 1 to 2 different scopes inside one app. At the same time, a number of our other clients have sort of ongoing functionality pieces they constantly get upgraded. And these clients will generally spend between $10,000 to $20,000 per month to continually get their piece of software upgraded. Inside this span, they'll generally do 2 fortnightly sprints per month, and they'll put in the features and functionality sets that they're after to deliver in that sprint, which should become the most impressing things for them. So generally speaking, how much is your software going to cost? That's a really hard question to answer. You can start around $5,000 for a small piece, up to $20,000 or $30,000 per month for ongoing fixes and maintenance. Now this does depend because obviously it depends on the size of the team. We generally have teams from 1 person up to 10 people working on a single project, but obviously if that 10-person team became 100 people, obviously that would spend more money. if you're looking to get some costing for your custom software build, feel free to reach out for us. The process we run through is we'll have a call with you and work out what your requirements are. We'll do some small prototyping to work out exactly what that looks like, and then we'll give you an estimate that you can take away and have a look at. In some cases, clients take their estimate away and they go and discuss it internally with investors or other development companies, and then potentially come back and start that work. So it's an easy way to understand whether the software you're trying to build is a $5,000 project or it ends up potentially being a $10,000 to $20,000 a month charge. Hope that's helped you understand the cost of custom software development. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at team@flyingdonkey.com.au.